11 Alive reporter Grace King is on the scene. Grace, I know information coming in really quickly right now. What can you tell us?
Well, I just want to give you a good look at the scene here. We all saw the biolab fire where you saw that huge chemical plume for days and days and days. But if you take a look behind me, this is the address Forest Park gave us. You can see a lot of the firefighters just kind of standing around. We don't see any smoke. We don't see any plumes. Nothing visible from the ground here, but we were driving around this whole area earlier. You could see all the roads blocked off by police. It's eerily quiet. There's no one at the gas stations. The gas stations are closed. You know, things that you would think of as typically 24/7. There's just not a lot of people aside from emergency personnel. We are working to learn more about the companies here. We could see several signs for companies like the ones you mentioned before, but we don't know exactly what they manufacture or what chemicals could be in the air. Of course, the chemicals are a concern with the winds, but again, from what we can see here on the ground, really just emergency officials here responding, walking around, surveying the site, but we can't see any smoke, any plume, nothing visibly concerned. But of course, some of those chemicals you might not be able to see, so they are asking people to evacuate and leave this area.
Yeah, Grace, you're talking about how it's eerily quiet. We're kind of between that lunchtime rush and the end of the day, and that's an area that does have a lot of businesses, and it's a busy spot just because of the proximity to the airport. And I can't help but notice just in your shot, the wind. I'm sure that's a big concern to everybody right now.
The wind is definitely a concern. That's why they've evacuated so many of the businesses over here. Again, like you were mentioning, this is a rather populated spot. You'll see people coming to work. You'll see people stopping for gas, for food. And again, everything's just empty. Police are blocking off the roads, so you can't really get close here. We're in a random shopping plaza where we can see the fire trucks at that address they gave us. But again, you can't really see anything in the air, but that of course does not mean the danger is not there.
Yeah, we see all the firefighters behind you there, and it seems like they're kind of in a wait and see mode. It does stand out to me that you said that there's no obvious plume of smoke, even though whatever's happening was enough for the City of Forest Park Police Department to put out this widespread alert in that community.
And it may be the sort of situation where they saw the plume, they panicked because of those winds. They know they can change direction, they can spread pretty quickly, but they were able to get it out. I know with Biolab, it was the water reacting with the chemicals. So sometimes it's not the fire that's the danger, but rather the reactions in the days and hours afterwards. So we're not sure exactly what kind of chemicals we're dealing with. If the fire was a concern, if it was any reactions happening after a fire, that could be a concern. And again, in a lot of these situations, you don't see chemical fire super often. So it's always better to be on the overcautious side of things as they work to learn what chemicals could have been involved, what dangers could be present.
Because we're used to seeing firefighters responding to a traditional fire. So some of this reaction could be more about how this is unusual in terms of that chemical. You talked about the chemical reaction with the water that in Biolab that was active for not just many hours but days after that initial flare up. So it will be important and really interesting to find out what chemicals we're dealing with. Now, from your vantage point, I know there are two different businesses here, that Pollen and that Momentive Specialty Chemicals. Do you have any way from where you're standing to see which building and which business we might be honing in on here?
We have no idea. I mean, it is still an active scene, so the firefighters are blocking that. Those are just the two signs we could see just from walking up a little bit closer to them. They have those markers there, but we can't see any visible signs of a fire or smoke or anything like that, so we're not sure which one it could be at. And again, this is right next to the airport, so we brought our drone. We can't fly because we are in Hartsfield-Jackson's airspace. So there's no way to kind of get a higher up look and see if we could see more of what's going on. We're just here on the ground looking the best we can, and so far we have no idea. But I did reach out to both of those companies just saying, we heard of a chemical fire at your address. Is this you all? Are you able to tell us what chemicals you have? Was anyone hurt? What's going on? So hopefully we'll hear back.
Yeah, thanks for doing all the digging. One last quick question before I let you go and gather some more information. Do you smell anything unusual in the air?
Not at the moment. Again, with Biolab, you were driving through and you could smell chlorine miles and miles and miles away. Here, it just feels like a normal day. You can kind of smell some food from somewhere coming away, but there's nothing chemically that I smell at the moment that presents any concern. But again, we don't know what chemicals are involved. Not all chemicals have smells. Not all chemicals can be seen. So
Yeah,
just
no
because
doubt.
we can't
Really
see or smell
important
anything,
points,
I don't
Grace.
want to
Thanks for
say.
your reporting, and I will touch base with you in a few minutes. Maybe some more information coming in from police and fire. So thanks so much, Grace King, reporting there in the city of Forest Park.